In a surprise announcement this morning, Disney and Comcast have agreed to move up the sale of the remaining stake of Hulu to September 30th, just 24 days from now, instead of the original target of January of 2024. And I'm going to tell you why I think the Walt Disney Company was very much in favor of this. Here we go. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Hulu, here we go again. Disney, Comcast, in a big shocker. CEO of Comcast, Brian Roberts, was speaking this morning at the Goldman Sachs Telecom and Media Conference when he pulled this one out of the magical hat. This rabbit, of course, is the surprise announcement that the Hulu deal, which has been looming heavily over Disney and their stock performance and just all sorts of nasty things for the House of Mouse for the last several weeks and months, well, that's being moved up now 3 months to September 30th. According to Roberts from Comcast, the companies plan to begin work negotiating a potential sale of Comcast's minority stake in Hulu on September 30th, months earlier than their initial January start date. Now, straight off the bat, let's be perfectly frank. These negotiations have been going on, and they are now definitely going on. They're not waiting till September 30th to start actually going down this road. One of the reasons why I think September 30th is a big target date for Disney to get this ball rolling, September 30th is the final day of Disney's fiscal year for 2023. Each year, Disney closes the financial books on September 30th and opens them anew the following day at midnight on October 1st. Disney would very much like to go into fiscal year 2024 on October 1st with a clean slate. In other words, they probably do not want the specter of this massive Hulu deal lingering over their heads for another 3 to 4 months into the new fiscal year while they wait for this arbitrary date to come around. It's good for both Comcast and for Disney to get this out of the way now, but especially Disney. Now, a quick walk down memory lane on the history of the Hulu ownership. Disney became a majority owner of Hulu when it acquired 21st Century Fox, major entertainment assets in 2019, which included their piece of Hulu. That raised Disney's stake in the streamer from 1 to 2/3, roughly 66%. It left Comcast with the remaining share. And that same year, Disney and Comcast came to an agreement that in January of 2024, 5 years after the date and closure of the Fox acquisition by Disney, that Disney would have a put and Comcast would have the call, meaning that Disney would have the ability to buy and Comcast would have the forced sale to Disney in its pocket. And that minimum valuation at that time was agreed to for a total EV or enterprise value of Hulu at a minimum of $27.5 billion. That means that in 2019, Bob Iger and the Walt Disney Company agreed with Comcast that they would, at minimum, come January of 2024, buy the remaining stake from Comcast for about $9 billion. Now, of course, Brian Roberts has been out doing the stump speeches on the campaign trail, trying to rile the crowd that Hulu is actually worth a lot more than that minimum value. Billions and billions, if not tens of billions more. Well, it's going to come down at the end of the day to either Disney and Comcast agreeing on a price or a third-party business valuation expert coming in and making that call. However, we do have some guidance from industry experts in the recent days. Tim Nolan, an analyst with the Macquarie Group, says that he believes that Hulu is worth somewhere between $35 and $37.5 billion, about $10 billion or so more than what the minimum valuation is in the original Disney Comcast deal. That would put Disney's price tag to buy the remaining share at about $12 billion. And Matthew Thornton with Truist puts his value of Hulu somewhere around a $34.3 billion EV or enterprise value. That would put Disney's purchase price in the $11 billion range. And then there's Barton Crockett from Rosenblatt Securities saying that he believes the EV of Hulu is at the low end of its valuation range, meaning that $27.5 billion is probably about right. Quote, on the open market, I think they'd get something close to the floor, Crockett said of Hulu. And then Brandon Nispel, who we've quoted before from KeyBank, saying that he believes Hulu is probably worth around its $27.5 billion minimum valuation. So in other words, if a third-party analyst is brought in to actually do the valuation, should Disney and Comcast not be able to come to an agreement on their own, Brandon Nispel seems pretty confident that that valuation is going to come in very much in Disney's favor. But even the analysts claiming that Hulu is worth more than the minimum valuation are not suggesting it's worth that much more. Yes, $10 billion or $11 billion or maybe even $12 billion as opposed to $9, but not $15, $20, or $25 billion. Nobody out there right now seems to see a figure like that in play. But then again, we don't know exactly what Disney and Comcast are going to wind up negotiating. But of course, Disney wants to keep the price as close to that $9 billion floor as possible, and they might get their way. So we'll be watching carefully to see as this gets closer, but I promise you right now, Disney and Comcast are already working behind the scenes. The official start date for these negotiations or for this deal to commence is September 30th. But folks, do not at all be surprised if on September 30th we don't have a formal announcement from both Comcast and Disney that an agreement has been reached. And if not by September 30th, then don't be surprised if it's the day after on October 1st. That's the first day, as I mentioned before, of Disney's new fiscal year. Disney likes to make big deals around this time. I'll remind folks, the Marvel deal closed on the last day of August, just 30 days before the end of the fiscal year back in 2009. And of course, the infamous Lucasfilm purchase, October 1st, the first day of the fiscal year of 2013, which was October 1st of 2012 on the calendar. Disney does things the way they do things, and all of these deals in recent years, be they Fox, Lucasfilm, Pixar, or Marvel, well, they were all done by Bob Iger. And Iger has his ways, and I don't expect him to deviate from them anytime soon. But most importantly is to consider the differences. See, when Marvel and Pixar and Lucasfilm were acquired, Disney wasn't in anywhere near the dire straits it is today. It doesn't have a stock price that was getting beaten over the head by metal bats every day on Wall Street, and analysts seemingly falling out of favor with this company, many of them very concerned, very nervous. Bob Iger doesn't have the same swagger that he did even 5 years ago, to be certain. Disney is in a much, much different position, and Disney needs to get this deal done as quickly as possible because they believe that Hulu can bring a lot of value, and Disney wants to get that Disney Plus and Hulu system combined into one unified streaming service. Disney has also deliberately delayed a lot of the international introduction and distribution of Hulu for this moment. They wanted to make sure they had full control of it. Now, who's to say what's going to happen down the road? Disney is trying to get a lot of people into Hulu plus live TV right now, as Spectrum and Charter have left the building with 15 million subscribers, shutting off people from college football right now and Monday Night NFL. And Disney also knows that Charter Spectrum will not be the last traditional linear broadcast cable distribution company that is going to do this. They're going to have these problems down the road, and Comcast certainly could be one of them themselves. Disney has got to establish a unified hub for everything that they want to distribute, and they see Hulu as the best thing out there, and they might be right. Disney is obviously looking to make a big push with Hulu, which is an advertising giant, and that's exactly what they need, and they need to get this deal done as soon as possible. Stay tuned on that. We'll be following. Leave your comments and your thoughts below on this. Hit that like and subscribe. Share this video out on the social medias, and until next time, take care.